Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. Joining me today from the Disaster Risk Reduction and Mitigation Team, Ms. Roseanne Francis, and on the phone from the Bermuda Weather Service is the Director, Ms. Michelle Pitcher. As you will be aware, we convened an Emergency Measures Organization executive meeting at midday today to get the latest on Hurricane Lee. At this time, I will turn it over to BWS's Michelle Pitcher to provide an update on the hurricane.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Michelle?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. As of 12 p.m., Category 3 Hurricane Lee was 164 nautical miles, was expected to pass 164 nautical miles to our west at 1 a.m. on Friday morning. This closest point of approach has been similar in the past several forecasts, wavering from around midnight on Thursday into Friday, all the way to 2 a.m. on Friday. This consistency lends us high confidence in the forecast. The current distance is 164 nautical miles to the west for its closest point of approach. This also has been very consistent over the past several forecasts, so we still expect the track of Hurricane Lee to not change much as it continues on its final approach to Bermuda. Right now it is a Category 3 hurricane, but it is expected to decrease overnight tonight and through tomorrow, passing us at either a very low Category 2 hurricane or a very strong Category 1 hurricane. However, all forecasts continue to indicate that hurricane force winds will remain well to the west of Bermuda. One of the main stories with Hurricane Lee is that it has a very large wind field. It's a very large tropical storm. And so already we've been experiencing rough seas, long period swells, hazardous surf, and rip currents well ahead of the approach of Lee. Also, those winds are expected to begin to impact our area mid-morning on Thursday. So we can start seeing tropical storm force winds that's 34 knots sustained around mid-morning on Thursday, both in the marine area and on island. These winds are expected to continue to increase throughout the day Thursday. And the height of Hurricane Lee as it's passing is expected to occur Thursday evening through the overnight. Now, the highest winds we have forecast for this time are sustained 40 to 50 knots, with gusts 65, possibly occasionally 70 knots. Now, the strongest sustained winds up to 50 knots and the strongest gusts up to 70 knots, these will be experienced mainly in the western marine area and any elevated or exposed areas of the island. The actual radii for the sustained 50-knot winds is still forecast to remain to our west out of the marine area. However, if we have some isolated, stronger, heavier showers or any thunderstorms, that could indeed bring winds up to 50 knots sustained to isolated areas in the marine area and on land. Now, once Hurricane Lee's closest point of approach has passed, again, that's been ranging between 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. Friday morning, that doesn't mean instantly conditions are going to improve. The very large size of Lee means that the tropical storm winds are going to continue to persist in our area through Friday morning and likely into the first half of Friday afternoon. So this means that we are going to have tropical storm force winds for more than 24 hours across the area. So again, we expect to start seeing tropical storm force winds around mid-morning on Thursday, and those are going to persist into the early afternoon on Friday. However, once those winds start decreasing, we are going to see a remarkable change Friday night into Saturday morning in the weather conditions. Now, just a note on the seas are going to continue to increase very high outside the reef. Right now, we're forecasting to see a peak of up to 30 feet, especially especially in the western areas, just as Lee has its closest point of approach. So a lot of some of the damage might be from these higher seas and waves crashing into the island. We're not expecting a lot in storm surge, roughly around a foot. But again, Bermuda doesn't usually experience a lot of storm surge with regards to these tropical cyclones passing through by the area. Mainly it's going to be a wind damage and wave damage. Right now we are under a tropical storm warning, and that is likely to continue into early Friday afternoon. We continue to add details as we can to the forecast, and please everybody stay safe and stay updated with our latest information. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Based on this latest update, I want to share some additional information regarding public and emergency services as we prepare for Hurricane Lee. I will also provide some critical information regarding the cleanup and assessment activities following the passage of the storm. I cannot stress enough that we must all take this storm seriously. In that regard, and in the interest of public safety, I'm urging residents to move about the island cautiously, particularly on our roads. As it relates to public services at this stage, here's what I can advise. Government services will be operating per normal tomorrow, September 14th. On Friday, in-person services at government offices will resume at noon to allow crews from the various sections to assess and remove debris. The causeway will remain open and will be closely monitored by the Ministry of Public Works. Public schools will be closed tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday out of an abundance of caution. Ferry services will be suspended tomorrow, and an assessment will be made on Friday morning and communicated to the public. Buses will run according to their normal schedules tomorrow until 5:30, when bus operations will be suspended. An assessment of routes will be carried out first thing on Friday morning. We are urging people to stay off the roads so that our work crews can do the necessary cleanups and assessments. Concerning the LF Wade International Airport, flights will be suspended from 12 noon tomorrow, with the exception of tomorrow's British Airways flights to and from the island, which are expected to proceed as scheduled. Passengers on other flights should check with their respective airlines. The government shelter will not be operated. Garbage collection will be collected as normal on Thursday, but please do not put out trash on Thursday night. Wait for an announcement on Friday morning about when garbage will be collected. The Parks Department has posted high surf warning signs along public beaches and parks. Lastly, I understand that our community has been through a lot with back-to-back storms, and I want to acknowledge the fatigue and concern many of you may be feeling right now. Going through serious storms can cause anxiety. Our resilience is our greatest strength. I encourage our community to come together and support each other as we navigate this latest storm. Monitor the Bermuda Weather Service, the official authority for storm updates, on weather.bm. You can also follow the Bermuda government social media platforms to get the best possible facts on Bermuda's weather conditions. Finally, I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to all our member agencies in the EMO and their tireless work and dedication. To all of Bermuda, please continue to stay safe and take care of yourselves and one another. The Ministry of National Security and the EMO will continue to provide updates as more information becomes available. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister and Michelle, for your presentations. At this time, we'll take questions from the media, starting with BBC.
Thank you, Acting Minister, for your statement there. You noted that the causeway will remain open.
Yes.
Typically, I understand that it's normally closed when winds are over 55 knots. Has that changed, that barometer?
No, that hasn't changed. But there's also a caveat to that, and now I'm speaking in my capacity as a substantive Minister of Public Works. It depends on the direction of the wind, not just 55 knots. And so we will monitor that and make a decision to close it should the need arise.
Thank you. And you mentioned that public schools will also be closed Thursday and Friday. Obviously, this might be somewhat of a disruption for parents trying to get to work and organize childcare. I wondered how you reached that rationale to close the schools.
We don't want 4,000 little people wandering around the country in tropical storm winds.
I think that's it for me now. Thank you.
I'll invite the Royal Gazette.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned that the shelter is not going to be open, the government
correct.
shelter. Do you have any advice to anyone who might not have anywhere to go?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any advice to anyone that might not have somewhere to go? Is there any advice you can give to people that
They can
might be
reach
stuck
out to the appropriate agency, and help will be provided, but we're not opening the shelter.
Is that based on the fact that it's not that serious a storm, or not that serious? but not that
That's the
strong a storm?
assessment at the moment.
Yeah. We saw the Botanical Gardens had a tree snap the other day. Are you confident that the crews are out there doing the best they can to ensure that there aren't a repeat of that?
Well, I'm not sure that we could predict what trees are going to fall and what ones aren't, including that one yesterday. But the crews from both Public Works, road crews, and the Department of Parks have, over the last several days, been out scouring the island to address any areas that they noticed needed to be cut. And we think that we've taken in sufficient efforts to address any of those issues.
Do you know if the House of Assembly will be convening?
That decision will be made by the Speaker of the House, and I have not been advised whether we're going to meet or not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the questions, and thank you again, Minister and Michelle, for your presentations today. That concludes today's news conference.
All right?